Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with, insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
Today we're diving deep into the world of AI,
Sounds good.
and it feels like it's everywhere these days,
Oh, it is.
from chess matches to our phones.
Right.
Speaking of which, you wouldn't believe this.
What's that?
There's buzz about these new AI chess classes that can secretly tell players the perfect moves.
Yeah, I actually saw that.
Really?
It's like something out of a spy movie.
It is.
But it does raise some interesting questions about fairness
Right.
and how subtle AI is becoming.
Totally.
I mean, if this is happening in chess, could we see similar tech in casinos or even classrooms?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's a bit unnerving to think about.
Yeah, it is.
But, while we're over here worrying about AI outsmarting us,
Right.
it turns out some of the most hyped up AI features are falling flat.
Oh, yeah, that's the irony, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're fascinated by AI's potential.
But when it comes to actually using it in our daily lives,
Yeah.
the experience isn't always so impressive.
Right.
Case in point, Apple Intelligence.
Yes.
Remember all the hype when it launched 7 months ago?
Absolutely.
It was supposed to be this game changer, but it feels like a bit of a flop.
Yeah.
73% of iPhone and Galaxy users say that Apple's AI features add little or no value to their lives.
Yeah, I saw that statistic too.
Ouch.
It's going to sting a bit for Apple, right?
It does seem like a reality check for them.
Yeah.
And what's even more interesting is that to even access these features, you need a pretty high-end device.
Really?
You need at least an iPhone 14 with the latest software update, which not everyone has access to.
Right.
It almost feels like they're creating a barrier to entry for a lot of users.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
And then even if you can use it,
Right.
it doesn't seem to be living up to the hype.
No.
Some of the Reddit reviews I saw were brutal.
But also kind of funny.
Okay.
One user said, Siri is dumber than ever,
Wow.
just with a new coat of paint.
Ouch.
Another one said, if AI was solely made by Apple,
Okay.
I swear mankind would be safe on how dumb the AI is.
That's pretty harsh.
I know.
But they do highlight the disconnect between expectation and reality.
Right.
People were expecting this revolutionary, intuitive AI experience.
Uh-huh.
And what they got was
Not quite that.
not that.
So is it all bad?
Well,
Are there any Apple Intelligence features that actually work well?
there are a few bright spots.
Okay.
The photo editing features are pretty cool,
Oh, yeah. I've heard about those.
especially the ability to remove unwanted objects from photos.
Yeah.
That's getting some positive feedback.
I can see how that would be useful.
Right.
Like getting rid of that random person photobombing your vacation picture or something.
Exactly.
And I think I saw that the email writing and proofreading features on Mac
Yes.
are also getting some decent reviews.
Yeah. Those seem to be the exceptions rather than the rule, though.
Yeah, it seems like Apple might need to go back to the drawing board a bit on this one,
I think so.
especially with all the AI on your device.
Yeah.
Ads we're bound to see during the Super Bowl.
You're probably right about that.
And it's not just an Apple problem.
No, it's not.
User reviews suggest that Galaxy AI isn't exactly blowing people away either.
Right.
Maybe the bigger challenge for all these tech companies is figuring out how to make AI genuinely useful
I think so.
for everyday users.
Mm-hmm.
Features that actually solve real problems
That's right.
and make our lives easier.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, nobody wants a flashy feature that doesn't actually do anything helpful.
No, nobody wants that. So while Apple is trying to figure out how to make AI work on our phones, other companies are looking at the bigger picture.
Right.
Like OpenAI.
Yeah.
They're reportedly paying YouTubers for unused footage
Really?
to train their AI models.
You mean like
Yeah.
showing AI a ton of videos so it can learn? Like how we learn by watching and experiencing things.
Exactly.
What?
It's all about data.
Okay.
The more videos it sees, the better it gets at understanding the world
That makes sense.
and how things work.
So they're giving AI a crash course in everything.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
it is.
It makes you wonder what they're planning to do with all this, AI knowledge.
Well, they're working on some pretty ambitious projects.
Okay.
One of them is
Yeah.
developing a suite of robots.
Robots. Now, that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
What are these robots going to do? Are we talking like
Yeah.
robot butlers that can make us coffee or something more sci-fi?
Well, OpenAI is being pretty tight-lipped about the specifics,
Okay.
but they see robotics as a key part of the future of AI.
Oh, I see.
Imagine robots that can understand the world,
Uh-huh.
but also learn and adapt to new situations.
That's pretty amazing.
That's the potential they're aiming for.
Yeah. That would be a game changer.
It would.
But it also raises some questions like,
Hmm.
what happens if these robots get too smart? I've seen enough sci-fi movies to know how that could go wrong.
Yeah, it's a valid concern,
Yeah.
and it's something that researchers and developers are taking very seriously.
Okay.
As AI gets more sophisticated,
Uh-huh.
we need to make sure we're building in safeguards and ethical considerations.
I agree.
We want AI to be a force for good,
Right.
not something we end up regretting.
Exactly. While we're talking about AI and the future of work,
Right.
I have to ask,
What's that?
did you hear what Mark Zuckerberg said about AI replacing mid-level engineers?
Oh, yeah, I did.
That seems like a pretty bold prediction.
It is a bold statement.
Yeah.
It's got people talking,
Uh-huh.
and it highlights how quickly AI is evolving
Right?
and the potential it has to automate tasks that were once thought to be, exclusively human.
It's a little scary to think about, honestly.
Yeah.
What happens to all those engineers if AI can do their jobs?
It's a question a lot of people are grappling with. And it's not just engineers.
Right.
AI has the potential to automate a wide range of jobs across many industries.
So it's not just a tech problem.
Right.
It's a societal problem.
It is.
We need to start thinking about how we prepare for a future where AI plays a larger role in the workplace.
I agree.
That might mean retraining for new jobs
Mm-hmm.
or focusing on skills that are uniquely human, like
Right.
creativity and critical thinking.
Exactly.
It seems like there's a lot to consider as AI continues to develop.
There is.
We've talked about the potential benefits,
Uh-huh.
but we also need to be aware of the potential risks.
Absolutely. AI is a powerful tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Yeah.
It's up to us to make sure we're using it responsibly and ethically.
Wow. Well said. Now, shifting gears a bit,
Sure.
there's been a lot of talk lately about Apple and the future of their programming language, Swift.
Mhm, yeah. The whole Apple is killing Swift debate.
Okay, let's break down this whole debate.
Okay.
This article we have here is pretty critical,
Yeah.
claiming that Apple's control over Swift is actually hurting the language.
Yeah, I read that one too.
The author's main point is that Swift is becoming too closed off
Right.
and Apple-centric,
Yes.
which is alienating developers who aren't fully invested in the Apple ecosystem.
Makes sense.
They argue that this closed-off approach is stifling innovation
Uh-huh.
and making it harder for Swift to compete with other languages.
I see.
So they're saying Swift is becoming too much of an Apple-only language.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they point to a few things as evidence.
What is?
First,
Yeah.
Swift has become increasingly complex
Okay.
with over 200 keywords
Wow.
that can make it harder for new developers to learn
Right.
and use the language.
Makes sense.
Second,
Yeah.
they argue that Apple isn't listening to feedback from the open source community,
Right.
which makes developers feel like their voices aren't being heard.
I can see how that would be frustrating
Yeah.
if you're a developer who's invested time and energy in learning Swift. You want to feel like you have a say in how the language evolves.
Exactly.
And the fear is that if Apple doesn't open up Swift more, it could eventually become irrelevant.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
It'll be interesting to see how Apple responds to this criticism.
Yeah, it will.
Will they make changes to make Swift more open and accessible,
Right.
or will they double down on their current approach?
I'll have to wait and see.
While we're on the topic of developer tools,
Okay.
there's this new build system called Work that's been getting a lot of buzz.
I've heard about that.
Work is being hailed as a simpler and more portable alternative
Okay.
to traditional build systems like Make.
Right.
Now, for those of us who aren't developers,
Mhm.
can you explain what a build system is
Sure.
and why this new one is such a big deal?
So in simple terms, a build system is a set of tools
Okay.
that automates the process of compiling and linking code to create a program.
Got it.
It's an essential part of software development,
Uh-huh.
but it can also be quite complex and time-consuming.
I can imagine.
So Work is basically trying to make the build process easier
Okay.
and faster
Got it.
for developers.
So less headache for developers, more time for actual coding.
Exactly.
I'm all for that.
It's a win-win.
Developers get to spend less time wrestling with build systems and more time writing code, and users get to benefit from better software.
Right.
Speaking of making things easier,
Yeah.
did you hear about what Mark Zuckerberg had to say about Apple on the Joe Rogan Experience?
Oh, yeah, that was quite an interview.
He did not hold back on his criticism of Apple.
He didn't.
He basically accused Apple of being anti-competitive
Oh,
and stifling innovation.
I remember that.
He specifically called out Apple's App Store policies,
Right.
claiming that they give Apple too much control
Yeah.
over what apps are available and how much developers can charge.
I see.
He even went as far to say that Meta would be making twice as much profit.
Wow.
If it weren't for Apple's restrictions.
That's a pretty bold claim.
It is.
It really highlights the tension between these two tech giants.
Right. They're both vying for dominance in the tech world, and they have very different philosophies about how things should be done.
So Apple, on one hand, wants to create a tightly controlled ecosystem.
Right.
Where they have a lot of say over what happens.
Exactly.
And Meta, on the other hand, wants a more open and decentralized approach.
Yeah, it's a classic battle between control and freedom.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Well.
Will one of these companies eventually emerge as the clear winner?
Right.
Or will they have to find some way to coexist?
Only time will tell.
Speaking of shaping the tech landscape, we have to talk about OpenAI and their ambitious robotics plans.
They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI and robotics.
They've developed their own robots and custom sensor suites, and they're not shy about their ambitions.
No. They want to create robots that can not only understand the world around them, but can also learn and adapt to new situations.
Wow.
Robots that can solve problems and make decisions on their own. That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It does.
But it's happening right now in the real world.
It is, and it has the potential to revolutionize everything, from manufacturing to healthcare.
Okay.
Imagine robots that can perform surgery, deliver packages, or even care for the elderly.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
They are.
But of course, with such powerful technology,
yeah,
comes great responsibility.
It does.
We need to make sure that we're developing AI and robotics in a way that benefits humanity as a whole.
I agree.
We need to consider the ethical implications and make sure we're not creating something that we'll regret later on.
Right.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the world of tech.
Sounds good.
Thanks for joining us for this whirlwind tour of AI legal battles and the future of innovation.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
And I'm sure there will be plenty more to discuss in the coming weeks and months.
Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech.
Yes, thanks everyone.
If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.